Hi, it's Hazel, and welcome to my channel, Hazel and Aka Design. Today we are going to be talking about these vintage embroidery transfer patterns. Vogart is one brand, Aunt Martha is another brand, and I'm not sure if there are others. Oh, and I should have actually Googled to see whether or not they're still being made. I know that recently I've acquired some that were sealed, but and never used, so I don't know if you can still get them or not. They do show up periodically when a person is thrifting, and because I have several, and have now listed some in, I think both my Etsy shop and the Maker's Market, I thought, well, wouldn't it be a good idea to give people some ideas of how they can be used? Now, again, I think many of my videos probably appeal most to people who are just starting out, just acquiring some of these supplies, and maybe haven't had that much exposure to some of the possibilities. So let us, well, first of all, I'll just set this aside for the time being. I just didn't want you to stare at my masterboard book. I will turn to this page. I did this last night. I took apart a number of, I took apart the rattiest looking envelopes, or the envelopes that had contents that I thought I would be using. So this, oh, I wonder, did I save that? There was kind of a third, or was that just, I'm sorry, I can't remember if that was just different packaging from Vogart. But you can see that over the years, and look at this awful one, over the years, the packaging has changed, and of course, like most other things, it's not dated. Then there was also this Unique brand that really didn't have very good cover art at all, but yet these things are cute, and I still might do something with this envelope. Oh, this is not like tissue paper. So there were variations in how these things are made. Anyway, I did this as a base, and I had also fussy cut some of the designs off some of those covers. So this was off one of them. That's just a scrap. These are like, sorry, you probably can't see against that busy background. These would have been the kind that women would have, stamped onto pillowcases, because of course, back in the day, for you youngins out there, back in the day, bedding was all white. And so here are just some of the flaps off the envelopes. Obviously, I didn't throw anything away. Oh, Joseph Walker, that was the other company, this tag here, or that. Yeah, so I don't really know what the cover was, if it was like. Anyway, so then I did all of this, and I thought, boy, this is pretty busy. I don't have that many fussy cut items. This one is a little bit ripped in the corner. Will these things be lost on here? And I don't know. And I also didn't want to do every single thing without you. This seems so disconnected, but I guess I shouldn't worry. What's happened to that other? Oh, here it is. I shouldn't probably worry too much about that, because, of course, like with any masterboard, it will be cut up into cards. But that does seem a bit lost on there, does it not? This one would have to be torn and off to the right. It's not often that a master board kind of stumps me, but yet, see, that's fairly eye-catching, but then it's totally a discombobulated, that's not the right word. It's introducing colors that we don't have anywhere else, really. I don't know. You know what? The jury might have to... Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. This is obviously because they had done this very fancy on the envelope. I would have to cut this down. Well, you didn't come here today to watch me not make a decision. At least I hope you didn't. So let's just glue some stuff down. If it doesn't work out as I envisioned, I can always stop at any point and just put it on the back burner and decide that you know, I need more elements and I need time to find them and so on. Like really, you know, this stuff isn't going anywhere. It's going to be a while, I believe, before I have anything, before I get to a, you know, sewing, homemaking type journal. So this is going to have to be on this side as well. I'll just try to cut that somewhat straight. And then, of course, I hate to cover up those numbers. Maybe I should put it up here. Crazy how a person sometimes thinks about these things. You know, you hand pick these items, lay them out, you know, in a pleasing way, and then think, oh, I don't want to cover that. Oh, I don't want to cover that. Oh, I don't want to cover that. And then you go ahead and cover it. I said this was nice. Maybe that looks good, covering up a bit of that hot pink, because then it really shows. Okay, I can do that. So I hope you are well. Oh, I see, I forgot to remove this calendar from under my... I was looking ahead, because of course I always tape my videos ahead of time. I was looking ahead, trying to figure out when I should do my 1,000 subscriber giveaway. It is August 20th, I think it's Friday today. August 23rd, as I'm taping this. Of course, you'll see it at some other date. And, you know, I don't know about where you live, but here it definitely feels like summer is, you know, coming to an end. We've had a few kind of those misty mornings. Not terribly bad yet, but kind of those mornings where, you know, the daytime temperature is one thing, the evening temperature is quite a bit cooler, and then the two air temperatures meet and fog is the result, or mist rising off sloughs and whatnot. Okay, that is what that looks like. I do have another Vogart that I could put on here somewhere for definition. I could use that hot pink number. What else? I mean, I do have some of these flaps that are a little... I don't know, let's at least cut this. Oh, I could also cut this off here. Typically, I don't really like to start videos where I'm still having to cut stuff out. Wonder if that price tag would... Oh, well. anyway, I've always, even long after my kids, left home and, finished post-secondary or whatever, I've always felt that September was like the start of a new year, the school year. That it was, just as important in my mind as, January 1st is. Maybe I could do that. So, yeah, and because it's gross, and because we are farmers, and we still crop some land, I am numero uno as far as running a combine. And yeah, I kind of hope that I get, downsized or fired or, laid off or something. But I keep getting called back every year. So yeah, and for those of you who maybe have farmed or grew up on a farm, you know that quite often there isn't any predicting what is going to happen when. And I think this is just going to be one of those master boards where it's just going to be everything, and including the kitchen sink is going to be on this master board. So because this corner is chewed out here, I will put this lower down so that the number can cover it. Yeah, so anyway, that's part of the dilemma with, doing the giveaway kind of right at that point, or during that busy time, because of course all of this is weather dependent. It depends on how well the crops have matured, and it's at its worst, you can wake up in the morning and not know if you're going to be combining, that day. That's how iffy it is sometimes. So we have a grain moisture tester. So, you run a combine out to the field and, combine, a partial swath, or maybe in a couple of different places on the swath, a heavy area. And you catch a little bit of a sample in like in an ice cream pail or something, bring it home, put it through, you test it to see if in fact the moisture content is such, is the grain dry enough, is the grain cool enough that it would not heat, in other words, burn up, rot in a grain bin. Now, I think every farmer has probably lived through the experience of, especially if you get a little desperate, the clock is ticking, the calendar pages are flipping like they do in the movies or in cartoons, and you think, okay, the forecast is not good, it's late in the season, I've got to do something here. So people can either use aeration bins and aeration fans to have air circulating and bringing the temperature down of grain if it's fairly close to being dry. So there's dry, there's tough, and there's damp. Those are some of the terminology. So I've got 2 more of these to do. Anyway, so, however, I started to say, I think most farmers have pushed their luck, and, maybe Murphy's Law kicked in that time too, to all of a sudden realize, oh dear, there is an issue. The grain is caking up. It can even turn ashy because literally it is heating from the inside out. And of course, in a grain bin, there is a lot of like I'm talking like I'm a scientist or something, or you really understand the concept. In a simplistic way, which is how I try to explain most things, I believe that the factors at play is compression, a combination of heat and moisture content. So, you could probably make things rot in your house with produce and so on if all those factors were in place. Okay, we're calling this one done for the time being. Now, if at some point I think to myself, oh my goodness, that is still so, busy, another possibility, of course, would be to, go in with a black pen, a Posca marker or something. Maybe, in fact, should I even, well, I don't know. I want to stay cognizant of the time. I think what I would consider doing is drawing a heavy black line, fairly heavy black line, almost like that, around these little guys that I fussy cut. Because I think that would help echo the black that's here. I won't take the time to do that now. Okay, so that's that. And then I thought, well, okay, I've got obviously all kinds of these things. I don't know how, if this was just luck of the draw or how I ended up with these. They're a bit on the weird side, let me just say that. Okay, so then I thought, okay, I want to do some prep work before I turn on the camera. This, and again, do you really care about this? This was really weird. Like, these birds, what does this have? There was a fork attached there. Or was it where they were making worm soup or something? Like, weirdo stuff. And I'm thinking, yeah, a bird was about to drop a worm in there. There's the fork. I think this guy was holding the fork. Like, I don't get it, and I don't think anyone else should have to be confused by it. So I just tore all that off. Then I started, okay, you know that if you want things to appear the right way, if it's words, that you stamp it the opposite way. So the inky part of this is this side. The inky part of this is this side. My intention was to have the darker side up and obviously the lighter side down, so the words are readable. But I wonder, that might be, I might have to rethink that. Separated some of the little flowers, separated the birds, and I thought, okay, because I wanted these images to be the focal point, I started out with a solid blue piece of, just copy paper. I have so much colored copy paper. I thought, hey, never done a masterboard like that before, but why not? And then I kind of laid these guys down, but I couldn't tell. Sometimes you can't tell what's going to be visible until you actually glue it down. I'm thinking it will act like tissue paper because it sort of is tissue paper. So I just used don't ask me where I got this from. Obviously, I hacked it away from something else. And so I used that, and I used, this Paradise Teal through the stencil and just kind of did an overall leafy, branchy type design, thinking, well, that's where you'd find birds when they're not in the kitchen making worm soup, that is. Anyway, so I'm thinking, and I just hope it doesn't well, let's try one of these. I think in my initial plan, this was going to go like that, and that was going to go. So let's just see if the gritty part, the inky part, comes off on my glue stick. I hope not. And then we'll also get an idea about whether or not that stamping underneath will show. Now, I didn't want to go with black. I didn't want to go with brown. That's why I did sort of a tone-on-tone blue. Hope that's relatively straight. What is this? I have to use a gentle hand here. Kind of working from the inside out. There is, I guess some of the stamping is visible, so that's okay. Let's do the Saturday down the side. And doesn't look like the ink is coming off on my glue stick, so that's another good thing. And then we'll put those birds down, and then I'll show you some of the other things I've made mainly with the, whoops, yikes, this must have been a sticky part of the, let's try to eyeball this, and I think I have glue on both sides of this. Now, it's hard to know whether the translucency of this will change as the glue dries or not. But we shall see. Oh my goodness, I should have done something about these hands. Okay, so what did I say? Brighter side down? I guess that'll be fine. I thought this little pair of birds would be somewhere here, because I do have to have some overlap. And of course, you can see that there are creases in this tissue, because I don't think most people take the time to really fold things neatly once they've used them and put them back. Oh, that's another thing. I don't know whether you get more than one use out of these. I ended up with some duplicate kits, and that's partly why I felt like I should list them for sale. But maybe you had to buy more than one of the same thing if you wanted to. See, I don't know that. I know that when I was young and learning how to embroider, as a child, it was not uncommon, and that's, of course, why you're seeing things like Thursday and Saturday. It wasn't uncommon for kits to have, the days of the week. Because, of course, back in the day, just like those pillowcases that were white, women often made their own tea towels out of, sugar sacks or flour bags or whatever. And we'll leave the flowers for filling in. Well, this guy has a flower attached to him. And we'll pretend we don't know that that's a fork handle in his hand. Under his wing, I mean. So people would have all this white stuff, all this white cloth that they've salvaged from these bags that kitchen staples often came in. And so then you kind of disguise that and made it all purty by embroidering on them. There's the guy with the worm. Well, maybe I should put him there so he's facing inward. That's one of my things. I don't like having anybody with eyes looking outside of the picture plane. Whether it's people or birds or animals. I could have torn that a little closer, I guess. So I hope that you are well. I hope that you're staying busy. I hope that you've had a bit of a summer, getaway. Whoops. A little overzealous there. I can tear part of that off. I sometimes do that with napkins too, when it either if it doesn't go down as nicely as I'd hoped for, or if I wanted a more interesting edge, I just sort of tear at it while it's still wet. I guess he could overlap this Saturday. And then I still have these two. These two could look like they're talking to each other or about to share that worm. Yeah, let's do that. So, you know, summer has kind of come and gone. And I can't say that I really have a great deal to show for it. I mean, obviously, I've been busy. You know, and I think about Lori from Enchanted Dreams when I say this. If you watch her channel, and you should, number one, she's living through an exciting time now, setting up a sewing room as well as a craft space. Oh dear, look at that. I should have. So that tells me you can't really reposition these things if you change your mind. Anyway, she is recovering from some sort of surgery. And I watched a video yesterday, and she's talking about going back to work middle of September, and all the plans she has and all the stuff she's doing. And I keep, well, in my comments, I keep saying, take it easy, take it easy. I was such a good girl. My surgery was at the beginning of June. And, you know, the usual precaution is no lifting or straining or whatever. Take it easy for this first 6 weeks. I had my post-op checkup. Things seemed to be going all swimmingly. And then, and I was feeling good. And then I think I started, you know, maybe lifting too much. You know, a lot of the stuff in our world here, books, like it doesn't take much. You don't need a very big pile of books to have it be probably over, like approaching the dangerous level post-surgery. So, yeah, and then I did some gardening, and anyway, the jury is still out. I won't know till the beginning of September, but I fear that I might have done something dumb. And I, that I might have hurt myself. And it's not as though I had done something really over the top and then sort of smacked my forehead and said, oh, fool, you shouldn't have done that. No, it was just, you know, feeling good, pressing the limits perhaps. And, yeah, so anyway, the reason I went down that path is that I was starting to say that it hasn't been a particularly active summer. Also on a new medication, and I've said this before, avoid prolonged and excessive exposure to the sun. Well, number one, I don't really do that anyway. I got to maintain this pasty white skin, you know. No, I don't tan. That didn't stop me from trying when I was in high school, though. Anyway, now that we know about malignant melanoma and how much of a killer how it is a killer, it's just a good excuse not to do some of those things that aren't good for us. But yeah, so haven't accomplished a great deal outside. I was hoping to do some organizational work in the garage because, of course, I have some air quotes overflow in the garage. I bought an antique wardrobe that I absolutely love. Now that is in the house, but again, to avoid the heavy, the lifting, the moving, the doing something dumb, it's just kind of in the middle of nowhere. So I don't have the benefit of its use, and I have a bit of an eyesore happening too. So yeah, I don't know what the magic is about getting organized, but nobody's told me the formula so far. I should have taken, those are probably blades of grass. Why did I not remove them? I got grass in the sky there. Well, I guess it's not the sky. We'll pretend it's all right. It's A-okay. So I think that, some of that is going to show through. So I'm glad about that. I should have positioned this bigger one here. I mean, not here necessarily, but somewhere. Because obviously you work from bigger to smaller on these sorts of things. Jeez, my hands are so sticky. Oh, for heaven's sakes, I can't get rid of it. Or should I put that in the middle of nowhere? Yeah, let's do it there. I love doing masterboards. You may have picked up on that. And, it's almost like maybe my version of a glue book. Sometimes I don't even bother using them. I just keep them in here or in a file folder. Because, of course, before I started, I don't like this, before I started doing them in this book, I was doing them on sheets of paper, scrapbooking paper, cardstock, you name it. And then I've told this story before. It was on Gail Augustinelli's channel. And it wasn't her idea, but she was the one that I saw talk about it. I think I have to break down and clean these hands. Because I can't pick it. I can't let go of any. Oh, Hazel, would you just let go of it already? Anyway, so she was talking about doing master boards in a, kind of an oversized hardcover book. Now, since then, of course, I've seen people do them in magazines so it doesn't have to be a hardcover book, and it can obviously be any size you want. I think it makes sense, though, to have it a size that could turn into a signature page if you wanted to use it, as is. This is foamy. Why is it so juicy? See, now I have to wipe it on my pants, on my shorts. Here's the little guy I was going to use. Here's the bigger one. So maybe the bigger one should go there, and the little one should go there, and we'll call this part done. Yeah, so I should probably find some sort of a nice book. If only I had some books in the house. Find a nice book. Although Caroline from Caroline on the Hillside, she just watched a video the other day. She's one of my new favorite people. Was decorating the cover of a sketchbook. Well, goodness knows I've got probably a dozen sketchbooks, and she uses that, what I would call it a glue book type scenario. So, and that is maybe even smarter than a book, because they typically are coil bound, so you have easier access to them when you're working on it. And you have, it lies nice and flat. You could rip it out if you wanted to, or you could leave it in if you wanted to. Okay, we are letting this, we're stopping here. Now, of course, at some point, if I do begin using if I do start working on, when I start working on a household sewing, domestic arts kind of journal or 3, then I can come back to these 2 pages and, figure out at that point how I want to use them. Let me see what time this is. Ooh, 35 minutes. So obviously using the parts of the envelope or the actual transfers themselves is one thing that you can do with an envelope of these transfers. Now, if you don't have access to them because they're just not available wherever you live, I do have them listed in, either Etsy or Maker's Market, wherever you prefer to shop. So let me show you the other things I did. We'll set this, we'll hang it from a sky hook because that's about all the space I have left. Oh my goodness. I'll prop it up on the floor. Okay. So, I think the first thing I did, now some of these envelopes were in better shape than others. But again, we like this. Now, if I was more of an inking person, I could trim these edges so it's a little more flush. But I could ink these edges. But anyway, what I did here was I just opened it up and turned it into a potential signature. And a normal sized, where's my ruler? A normal sized piece of paper, an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper would not have been big enough. This is 12.5. So could have used a scrapbooking paper. Not sure why I never think of that, to be honest. That would be one way to use it up, wouldn't it? I can get rid of this now. Anyway, so I had some coffee dyed ledger paper, and ledger paper, as you know, is bigger, so that is going to be fine. Now, depending on what kind of a cover this goes into, and I'm not going to do anything rash, because sometimes I make a decision to, I'm going to fold that. And then I end up with like an accordion pleat because I folded it multiple times. This is over 6 inches, so it would be too big for the normal journal that we do. However, it could be folded in to make it narrower. It could be trimmed, but that would be a waste of, good imagery. Or maybe this ends up in a binder journal using an actual binder, or just a 3-ring journal where, you put in your own rings, in which case then the size is kind of, at your decision. So there's that. So signature page. I should be counting these down. Oh, that was the envelope I showed you earlier. On this one, I think this was after I cut this thing open. There's some more of those little bluebirds. Bluebirds really had their heyday, didn't they? I ended up, after I cut this open 3 sides like I did that one, I ended up gluing the top back together. Or no, I guess it would have been this side back together. So that I could have a signature that was in fact 2 side pockets. And I did the old notcherunos just to remind myself that that's what this is. So that would be cute because, I mean, this would be, if this was the center of a signature, you get the full effect. This stuff obviously is going to be sideways, but many of us really don't mind that. I love this one. Again, no date. Oh, there those birds are. So it came out of this envelope. Yeah, there's the old pot of worm soup. Love that vintage woman there. And that's what I mean about the tea towels. So with this one, what did I do here? Oh, I didn't cut this one open. I just removed the flap, which usually they're pretty mangled. And I folded it in such a way that she didn't get folded in half, but yet it brought this side down to, you know, about 5 inches, which means that we could almost do a journal just to these things. So you open your book and you see that and you see that. So that's another idea. Now, because the way the envelope is structured, it automatically becomes a top-loading pocket. Now, sometimes it makes sense, although this paper is not very fragile and not that thin, sometimes you want to put a piece of paper in there to just reinforce it. I cut up another envelope. This was I guess a pattern with monograms. So, of course, everything has some initials. And this was sort of together like so. And there would have been, you know, Vogart or whatever at the top. Backed it again with more of that paper, thinking this could be a side tuck, a belly band, whatever. It could be torn shorter. It could be this, you know, it could be whatever you would use. It could be page edging, whatever you would normally use a narrow, long piece of something for. I'm leaving this as it is. You know, clearly these things could be cut here and here and become journaling cards. They could be further decorated, could have lace added to them or whatever. But at this point, I just wanted to show you that depending on what your cover design is, you do have options. Now, the back covers on the Vogart kits especially are quite attractive in that they have the hot pink and they have all these little diagrams for how to embroider. So I just squared these off. This one had the little hole cut for hanging on a pegboard hook in the store. So I just folded that down, reinforced it, cut a shallow notch there. This is the bottom of the envelope. I basically didn't do anything to it other than make it a little narrower and cut a shallow notch there as well. So these are pockets that could be decorated. So there's that. And then this is so darn cute. And because I just finished doing another baby book, I thought, well, I've got to save this baby, put this baby one with my baby stuff. So a really cute thing, and I just made basically a free floating pocket. Now, there must have been a price tag or something here, so let's see if I can just repair that before it tears off. So something obviously got ripped off there. And now if I would have realized what I was going to do before I did it, I would have left this a wee bit longer and then the pocket would have been a bit wider and so on. As it is, when you glue things after the fact like that, it does tend to, you do lose some pocket space. Now this would have been from the back of the envelope. It says Baby's Darling Layettes. Baby Darlings Layettes. So I just made that narrow enough to fit in there, and this will stay together so that if one thing gets used, the other thing will get used in that same project. So I think that that's where I need to stop today and just sort of spread these things out so you have one final look. You know, obviously anything paper is a resource that we can access. So feel free. This has a little tear right there. I suppose, when the time comes, you know, I'll see. Is that going to be fine? Does it need a washi tape reinforcement? I doubt that I could get inside and tape it from there, but who knows? So, yeah, I hope that this has given you some food for thought in, of course, addition to the 2 different styles of masterboards that are going on that are in that book. Put the babies on top. And of course, I still have all of these bits and pieces that could get used in a project. So I will just clip these together. I don't like this, but so far we'll just keep it together. So that, you know, these could either be used as decorative elements on some other parts of the journal, or who knows, maybe a person needs a 3rd masterboard. But yeah, this is how I will store it for the time being. Store it. Who are we kidding? This is what I'm going to put it together before I misplace it. Yay! So thanks so much for being here. Again, if you haven't seen Barbara, 49 Dragonflies Barbara, and her video talking about the impending death of YouTube, I do wish that you would watch it, simply because she points out very eloquently, I think, that we're creating this content free of charge to you. What we are asking in return as YouTube creators is that you do your part. Subscribe, like, comment, share, because those algorithms and how YouTube keeps score does matter. And if you are enjoying what people are putting out there, again, you know, unless you belong to Patreon or something, or paying a course registration, all the know-how and the mindless chit-chat and the camaraderie and the jokes and the whatever are all provided, you know, at no cost to you, other than your time. So, yeah, so that's me winding up to say, please like, comment, and subscribe, and do stay tuned, because there will be the 1,000 subscriber giveaway as soon as I can figure out what the timing should be. And can we all just say a little prayer for farmers and a bountiful harvest with no injuries or incidents, I like to say no mechanical or mental breakdowns, and a good yield, and you know, the right weather and all that good stuff, because of course we are helping feed the world. Okay, my soapbox is starting to teeter, so I'm going to sign off. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.